Hey there, sales players. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing new sponsor, Lemlist. Whether you're closing deals or nurturing leads, Lemlist is your all-in-one platform for personalization outreach that converts. Picture this. You craft a killer email campaign in minutes using Lemlist's intuitive drag-and-drop editor. Want to stand out? Lemlist is here to help with advanced personalization that lets you dynamically insert custom images, videos, and even personalized landing pages based on your persona. With Lemlist Analytics, you'll know exactly who opened, clicked, and replied to your emails. Join thousands of sales professionals who trust Lemlist to supercharge their outreach efforts. Use the link in the show notes below and start your free trial today. Your personalized outreach just got a whole lot easier. Happy selling.
Welcome to Sales Players, the #1 podcast for top players in B2B sales.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the world of sales, this is the show for you.
We're all about bringing you fresh, actionable ideas to supercharge your rev gen game.
We dive deep into the mindset, habits, and tools used by top performers in the industry. Generate more leads, close more deals, and build wealth and financial security in B2B sales.
So if you're ready to level up, you've come to the right place. Join the conversation with other like-minded sales players and continue the discussion beyond the show.
Hit the subscribe button, tune into the Sales Players, and let's start winning together. All right, we're here with the Sales Players, and today is a very special day. We are actually talking to the co-founder and co-CEO of Sendoso, Kris. And I don't want to butcher your last name, so how do you pronounce your last name, Kris?
Rudeegraap.
Rudeegraap. Okay. So okay. I like that.
It's a Dutch background with the double E's, double A's. Parents give me a good one there. It's a long one.
And are Dutch, is gifting just part of the Dutch culture? Is that something that are you just bred with that in your
I mean, who doesn't love a gift? I think across all cultures. But gifting was definitely a tactic that I used for, the whole decade I was in sales as an IC.
Awesome. Yeah. And so really excited if you just want to tell our guest basically your role of what you're doing right now, and we'll go back to a little bit of the history of where it looks like you started a company back in the early 2000s and you sold that. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about what that was, but talk to us about your role today in Sendoso, and we'll get right into it.
Yeah. So, as kind of co-founder, co-CEO, do a bit of everything. I'm hopping on calls, helping deals close, hopping on with customers, talking our roadmap. Just right before this, I was talking about some M&A strategy with my CFO. I'm looking through and working on offsite. I'm helping our product and engineering team kind of scope features. Talking through financial plans and budgeting with our CFO. You name it, I'm doing it. I think I'm just kind of a jack of all trades, but I'd say I'm the master of go-to-market. That's really where I grew up.
Okay.
That's what we do. All of our customers look to us for kind of go-to-market strategies, and I love all things revenue related.
In like a one sentence, tell us what is Sendoso or Sendoso.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we're a direct bill and corporate gifting platform. We help sales teams, marketing teams, customer success teams send stuff to grab attention and build rapport with prospects.
So, Kris, I've been a follower for a long time. I mentioned this right before we hit record. And from my standpoint, and I don't think I'm wrong, you're the category leader in that gifting space. I can't even think of another provider in the area or in the category. Talk to us a little bit about how you came up with the idea and what the journey's been like to being a category leading SaaS company in the current environment we're in.
Yeah. I think, the way that we came about 7, maybe 8 years ago, I was in sales. And for years before that, I was using gifting as just a tactic to get in front of prospects. I'd be on a call and hear a dog bark, and I'd quickly go to Amazon and find a dog toy and try to ship it over to that prospect, find out where they work, get their address. Or at my last company that I was at, Talkdesk, the marketing team would make us account executives on like Fridays, pack boxes. I remember writing handwritten notes and sending out these headphones, and it worked really well. I was just like, it's super manual. It was time consuming. I was always running to the post office. I was always trying to like log these and manually in Salesforce. So like my VP would let me get my expense reports tracked as long as I tracked it in Salesforce. It was just a nightmare, but it worked so much. I'm like, F it, the effort's worth it. And I think as a lot of companies start, it was a pain. And I said, hey, I need to solve this pain. It works, but I want to make it easier to send stuff out at scale. And there should be a software platform that does it. And after a lot of searching online, figuring out, hey, is there a platform that allows me to send gifts out that tracks to my CRM and other tools? At the time it was using Outreach. And there really wasn't anything out there. And so, hey, I'm gonna try to start something. So kind of out of need.
Question on that. So your sales background, AE is your heritage, right?
Yep.
So for the listeners out there, Kris is one of y'all. Like this is where he comes from.
Yep.
How does someone like that, and again, thinking out loud here as someone who is also interested in being an entrepreneur, how do you go find like a technical partner? Because it sounds like it's a technical product, it's a piece of software. What was that process like?
Yeah. So my co-founder is actually another AE. So 2 AEs.
Oh, wow.
But what I had was conviction in the problem that I knew I needed to solve. And I had confidence in finding a way to solve it. I also had a company that I started out of college, which gave me kind of enough understanding of how software is built that it wasn't so strange to me to say, hey, you take a picture and draw up what a screen should look like. You turn that into like a mock-up, and then you tell an engineer to build the mock-up.
Mm-hmm.
And, it sounds simple and dumb, and there's definitely a lot more that could be done with that, with user stories or pretty Figma designs. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I kind of knew what I wanted to use in order to send stuff out. I drew that on paper. I then paid someone to take those paper drawings off of Upwork and say, can you make these look pretty online? I think I spent like a couple $100 taking that paper drawings to an online mockups. And then I posted on Upwork again and said, hey, I need to find an engineer that can build this. And I found an engineering firm, kind of an agency, and just went at it. I think the original MVP was like $5,000 for the very first version. It was kind of hacked together and then just kept adding to it and improving it, and went and started selling the heck out of it. And so that was kind of the process. I think it sounds scarier than it is.
Yeah.
For every success story that I have, there's probably lots of others that are like, crap, like I couldn't find a good engier, that the system broke, or I didn't know how to design it. But
technical debt, those kind of things. Yeah.
But I think kind of, a lot of if you're solving a big problem, and you can go sell it. That was not my problem. I could easily go out and sell anything. We eventually caught up and found and continued to invest in technical resources to improve the product.
And Kris, like, to stop you there, like, one of the things that I've noticed, and I call myself a recovering entrepreneur turned tech seller. So I'm a recovering entrepreneur. Now I'm an AE. But you got to get dirty, and you just got to solve the problem, and you can't have that analysis by paralysis. You just have to do it, mess up, and just get that product out there and talk to your customer. And I think like this is an amazing story of, I think so many people are just paralyzed and they don't make that next step.
Yeah. The fear of the unknown, I think, causes people to, avoid any kind of risk and the opportunity to become an entrepreneur, or the opportunity to scale and become a big, huge entrepreneur. I think that was also something that I was willing to do, which was, hey, I'm going to go try to raise money. And that could be scary at first, but I'm like, F it, what do I have to lose? I already know how to, sell a slide deck to a prospect. What's the difference of selling a slide deck to an investor? Went on to raise, about 150 million over the last 6 years in funding. Wow. And that, again, lots of no's, but if you're a product or engineering technical co-founder, you might be scared like, oh crap, this investor just said no, I'm doomed. It could take 30 no's to get a yes. But that's, I think, why my sales background helped me a lot, because you get 30 no's from prospects and it doesn't matter. You're learning, you're on to the next.
Closer to the yes.
Exactly. You also work with recruiting too. If you're good at sales, you got to sell another person the dream of why they should quit their job and join you. So that also, I think, is another reason why sales founders have a secret advantage.
What's going on, sales players? It's Jesse here, and I want to introduce you to a genuinely cool product that we just learned about called Evie AI. It is a LinkedIn AI content assistant that was built to enhance your LinkedIn presence, increase your exposure and productivity as a seller. You can create personas, generate ideas, generate comments, craft posts, and 10x your LinkedIn presence. We actually had Joe, the founder, on the show, and he was kind enough to put together a special offer for sales players. There is a link in the show notes with more details. Go check out Evie AI. That's EVY AI. Let me ask this. So talk to us about like the first customer, maybe the first handful of customers that you and your co-founder went out. And again, the sales part of it probably wasn't as challenging as some of the more like operational or the technical obstacles that you had to get over. But how did you go out and validate the idea? How did you get buy-in from people early on when you're starting something that's just a brand new concept? Really, I mean, I can't imagine when you started this, there was anything else like it in the market. Yeah. So you're trying to almost be, there's the book Crossing the Chasm, and I'm going to space it on like where you are on that chart, but probably pretty early adopters, right? In the scheme of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did what I knew, which came natural to me was like, okay, build a target list of a bunch of accounts you think you should be working with. Go find a way to get all those enriched. So now I had emails, mailing addresses, phone numbers of all these contacts of my perceived buyer, and then just kind of went after it. Cold called, sent out, gifts, cold emailed, and just booked a ton of meetings. And then it was like refining our pitch. Me and my co-founder would figure out what was working, what was not. He'd close a deal, and then I would be the CSM. I'd close a deal, he'd be the CSM. We'd pass them back and forth until we got to a point where it was like way too much. Till then we could like hire the next person to be the full-time CSM for all the customers. But I think it was just hitting pavement. We also invested early in field events. I think some people are like, oh, like I don't know the ROI on that, but it definitely made us look bigger than we were. I specifically remember an event where we were next to Marketo at a conference, and we had our entire company there. It was like 8 of us. They had like 2 AEs at the time, and people were like, oh, what's this? This looks cool. Like, we had integrations with all like the brand names like Marketo and HubSpot and Salesforce in the early days. So I was like, oh, this company must be legit. We kind of just tried to build awareness. And like you said, in the category creators, you got to build awareness and educate the market on why you need to do this. And that was critical getting us out there.
And Kris, was this more like when you were starting out, was it like a usage-based subscription plan of like you were trying to get like a low barrier to entry, then scale people up? Or what was your pricing strategy?
It was kind of a platform and user license fee.
Okay.
Now our very first pricing was like a couple $100 a month, unlimited. And we were able to get a couple dozen customers like instantly with that. And then one of my advisors turned CFO. She was like, you guys are effed and doomed at that price point.
Wow.
Put together a much more sophisticated kind of financial plan, and we ended up 10x our pricing, still getting as much demand as we could possibly ask for, and never looked back.
Wow.
And how did you find that advisor?
That was through meeting from another advisor, actually.
Okay.
And that advisor came from one of our partners at the time. Was Engagio. Now they sold off to Demandbase, but cold called them and was like, hey, we should do an integration, and befriended their VP of sales there, who became an advisor, and befriended their head of business development. I have like now 100+ advisors. So that's something that I'm extremely happy that I stumbled upon these advisors early on that were like crazy helpful in getting me my first employees, introducing me to funding, introducing me to other advice and customers. And so I just continued to roll on this like micro advisor strategy.
Yeah. I'm always curious. So again, you kind of brought the business to where it is now. Like what's next on the roadmap for the company? Is there any new products in the pipeline or Yeah, tell us a little bit about like what we can look out
I mean,
for.
we're constantly innovating. I think we're investing a lot in AI right now and kind of our suggestion engine and how we can make things more automated. So that's pretty critical for us. We're adding new integrations across a lot of different industries. That's pretty exciting for us. But I think the big thing about our platform right now is we can service the largest, biggest customers, the Googles and Amazons and Capital Ones of the world, all the way down to like a 2-person company that wants to use it. And so for the most part, anyone that wants to use it can come onto it, and there's enough features and functionality that can satisfy you indefinitely.
So is it then just to kind of pause on something here, it's a very much like user-led growth model in that sense that, I guess if I was a corporate sales rep at Citibank or something, or Google, I could come in and use it in my department, and then, maybe 10 other people join me later. I love that. It's like the Zoom, or, I'm trying to think of some other examples, but it's the best kind of business model because it's like you get in, you start to see usage. We were actually talking to Chris Orlob a few months ago, and he was talking about how at Gong, it was a similar kind of flywheel business where you would have some insights like, hey, look, like 3 or 4 people are using this product here and they're doing this with it. Now let's go and, let's send a strategic email to the leader of that org and say, hey, we've got 3 or 4 people using it. How would you like to have a broader conversation about using this across a bigger organization? So I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Got some questions here for you. So what was the first gift that deal that you sent somebody a gift and they came back and they're like, yeah, I'll sign up? Like, what was that like light bulb moment? Talk to us about that deal, because I know you remember that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it goes back to sending gift cards. I was the king of sending Starbucks gift cards as a means to break me into accounts.
Really?
And it worked extremely well for me. Still works really well for a lot of people done right. So I actually think gift cards, and it was, hey, let me buy you a coffee. Just want to pick your brain on seeing if I can help you solve this problem, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, sure. Now, I think it's connecting kind of that value add there of saying, hey, I'm trying to solve your problem, and I came across in a kind of a very consultative way. But gift cards were the kind of the first thing that really worked for me in gifting, specifically sending out Starbucks gift cards.
Was it physical or just digital?
A mixture of both.
Okay.
I think that some of them were surprise and delight, where I'd set it out in the beginning without getting their address and researching and just sending it over, and some were sent through email. But that kind of spawned the bigger opportunity. And then when I was at TalkDesk, we sent out these headphones that worked really, really well, which was the inspiration for actually starting Sendoso. And then once we had Sendoso at our fingertips, it was endless. Everything kind of we sent out across the board. I think a booze worked really well in the early days. We'd sent a ton of booze. And then, we have a really interesting integration with Amazon, where you can like pick product from Amazon, send it to our warehouse. We unbox it, add a handwritten note, and rebox it and send it out. And so that can be really crafty. Like if I know, you're a big or if I know you're in Phoenix and you mentioned basketball, I might send you like a Phoenix Suns little little cup mug or something, and that helps connect personally and shows that I did my research. So there's a handful of things that you can do there too.
Remind me, what year did you launch Sendoso?
We launched in 2017.
Okay. So I'm thinking back when I was, circa 2014, when I was an SDR, we did gifts, and we had one massive trade show where it wasn't me, just for the record, someone on the marketing team got this harebrained idea that we were going to send iPads to everyone who met with us. So, like a $300 investment per meeting. It was an enterprise focused role. So we were trying to get, big box IR 500 retail brands to meet with us at this conference. And it did work. We got 100 meetings, because you can imagine like reaching out via email and saying iPad in exchange for 30 minutes at the conference. People are like, well, yeah, sure. What is a timeshare? What is this? But then we had to go and like manually fulfill all that.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, for the 100 people that showed, we've got to now go order 100 iPads, get 100 addresses, deal with 100 FedEx issues. And also people would take the iPad and then never meet with us again. And the other ones we were kind of trying to string along like, hey, you got the iPad from us. We wanted to do one more demo meeting with you. Right. And so Definitely effective, like in getting the pipeline built. And this was pre-Sendoso, so we didn't have anything that could help support the infrastructure of that initiative. But I definitely agree that, sending gifts, especially an iPad, is a huge, almost a bribe, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm with you.
Logical component to it where you feel compelled to respond, or if you're getting an offer and it says, hey, if take a meeting for this, that might come across as an incentive. But at the same time, if you already see value or you're willing to learn about that product, it can just put someone just enough over the edge to say yes and commit to some time too. Because people are, they're drawn in a million directions, and humans can be incentivized.
And talk to us about, so behind you, you have a ton of beautiful plants, live plants. So are you able to send plants? Are you able to send cookies, fruit, meat? What can't you send through Sendoso?
Yeah.
You can't send guns.
Oh, shit.
Weapons, no, right?
Yeah. But anything, I mean, it is endless. You mentioned meat. I have a fun story where we're at a conference. Someone was coming up to us on crutches. They broke their ribs in a skiing accident. We followed up and sent them a rack of ribs from I think it was Kansas City, like meat company. And that booked the meeting with a funny thing saying, like, here's some extra ribs, get back on your feet.
There you go.
Okay, tell me if this sounds like you. You're a sales hunter with literally hundreds of target accounts in your territory and no idea who in your patch is even in the market for your solution. You've pulled all the reports, built all the lists, and you've done a bunch of account research, but you're still in the dark about where to find your low-hanging fruit. And look, you could waste another quarter smiling and dialing, grinding through a cold list, and blasting out emails, or you could do what I do and get Leadfeeder. Leadfeeder identifies the companies that visit your company's website and tracks on-site activity so you can see which leads from your region are ready to buy right now. Leadfeeder has customizable notifications, lead scoring, routing, and it works seamlessly with your CRM system. Right now, Sales Players has got the hookup on an extended 21-day free trial offer, so be sure to use the link in the show notes to sign up. Oh, and you should probably forward that link over to your ops team so they can get Leadfeeder set up for your whole team. Stop burning time and resources on leads that don't convert and sign up for Leadfeeder.
So I think a lot of it's just funny and quirky, can grab people's attention. You can send plants, you could send, you could send literally anything you can think of, whether it's in our marketplace already, or whether it's a custom project that our campaign services team will create for you. It's really endless, and it could be branded with your logo. It could be engraved or embroidered with the recipient's name or logoed, or it could just be something that's more of an affinity, like a Phoenix Suns jersey or a baby onesie. And a lot of times it's more of the personal kind of approach, or being on a sales call, or being researching a prospect, seeing if they like golf and shooting over a case of Pro V1s. It's that thought that counts, that is going to help you get a meeting or move a meeting along, or but it works even better than just like that Friday, hey, just checking in, haven't heard from you on the contract. Why not instead send over a lunchy gift and say, hey, lunch is on me today, keep me posted on when that contract's coming through procurement. Just is a better approach.
Yeah. That's a good time to deploy it too, is when you're waiting on a signature on something and you just need to send some like positive vibes, like some goodwill towards getting that signed. Because that's the worst.
When
just
your
waiting.
manager, your VP is like, hey, where's the deal at? Where's the deal? And you're like, shit, like 3 days ago, I sent him a checking in email, haven't heard back. And you don't want to send him another one like, hey, checking in, it's been another 3 days. But that's where you can lob over like an e-gift very effectively, or there's a bunch of different tactics there where you can use gifting to open up the conversation in a smart way.
Let me ask this.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Just random question, because I'm seeing this. Like, I've been to a couple of shows this year, trade shows, where there was like heavy prospecting leading up to it. And one of the trends I saw from a lot of vendors is partnering up with their own customers. So, and we're actually doing this at my company. Takova's Boots is one of our customers. So we're giving away Takova's boots. So we're supporting someone who uses our SaaS, but we're also sending prospects, Takova's boots. Are you seeing a lot of that from some of your clients where they want to support their own and use that as like
we
a
see a lot of that where people want to support their own customers, and it's part of the story of like customers like, hey, XYZ are using it, and so you use that. We also see a lot of cause-based gifting, whether it's around holidays, or whether it's around like small business week, or whether it's women-owned businesses. There's lots of different ways that you could, sustainable gifts. There's a lot of different ways that you can use kind of like cause marketing as part of your strategy on what you're sending to. And that works really well. I see you both have books behind you. Books are a really effective strategy, whether it's, a book that you've read that you think your prospect will enjoy, maybe a book or that your CEO's written. That also works really well, kind of connecting the dots.
And Kris, I want to ask a question. How do you not sound like a creep when you're asking for somebody's address? Like, do you have a suggestion on this, like tactically, to be like, hey, can I get your address?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple different ways. One is using a middleman like Sendoso is great, because it's like, hey, there's a gift coming. Sendoso will confirm the address and delete it. So there's no like weird email, like, give me your address. It's a third-party validation. Or you drop in the link in your email to them saying, hey, here's your gift link. They click it, and then it says, hey, please confirm your address. And, this email will not be saved, or this address will not be saved. So using Sendoso as a middleman for address confirmation is a big win there. Furthermore, depending on the industry you're in, you might already have the address. There's a lot of industries that, you know the address of your prospects. There's also tools to go find addresses. We're working on a tool there too to help you with address validation for more surprise and delight and not asking for them. But yeah, I think using a middleman like us makes it not as creepy as saying like, hey, give me your address.
Well, one thing that I have to say about gifting is I remember it's also something that if you mess up with a client, like the worst thing that can happen, like I used to own a valet company, and I remember our first car wreck, one of my valets like wrecked this guy's Jaguar Type R, all the rims, like he rashed the rims, and he was so upset. But I knew that he was a good Morton's client, and he liked Opus One. So when we got his car back, we gave him 2 bottles of Opus One, and it's like that made sort of the deal better. We took care of the insurance and all that, but it's amazing. Like a gift can just really push somebody over the line and just be like, okay, we're trying our best here in a bad situation. We're just trying to do our best.
Yeah. We see a lot of companies use this on the customer success and support side, where there might be client issues and we see that carry over. Or if there's like, maybe there's like a little hiccup in onboarding, the salesperson can feel like the winner to come back around and say, hey, sorry that their onboarding was delayed 2 weeks. Here's a little gift. So it's definitely a good feel-good moment for that as well.
And has gifting just really changed since like pre-COVID and today? Like, is it just is there like a different type of gift people want, or?
I think during COVID, there was a sense of like everyone's at home, so you can assume more family-based gifts. Like, hey, here's cookies for you and your, family or your roommates to enjoy. So there's a little bit more of that going on. I think, post-COVID, there was a bit of like, if you're back in the office, let me confirm your address, versus maybe language around, hey, I know you're home. Here's a link to confirm your address. But otherwise, I think, humans are, gifts based on what you like to eat, which hasn't changed a lot. What your hobbies are, hasn't probably materially changed. Where you live maybe hasn't materially changed. So all those types of gift options still work really well.
Let's shift gears a little bit. I want to hear a little bit about maybe some of the success stories that your clients have had with doing this, or some campaigns that really made a huge, significant impact to their pipeline generation, or, a quarterly result of some sort. I'd love to hear some like actual win stories that our listeners can take back to their leadership and say, hey, we need to be sending gifts. Sendoso is the way.
Happy to share some. So, first one, Gong has probably generated tens of millions, if not more, in pipeline from sending out these little pinatas. That's worked crazy well for them as part of a prospecting strategy. One of our customers, Verkada, sends out these Yeti mugs. They even have them in like, ads they run on like social to say, hey, if you request a demo, here's a Yeti mug.
Damn, okay.
Telium sent out these really unique like ember mugs that like keep your coffee warm, which works really well. Anaplan sent these really interesting like minifigures that worked really cool. Remember Tibra sent out these like macaroon cookies that like crushed it for them. Guru sending out cupcakes that worked really well. Remember Gainsight sent out this book that the CEO wrote that did really well for them. We have a bunch of, I think it's sendoso.com/success-stories. And there's visuals of everything, results. There's probably like 100 different examples. That's one of the fun parts is that we can showcase all the cool things. A ton of resources on what to send.
Is there a way within the Sendoso platform to track like attribution? Can they, can most brands, like can Gong say, hey, definitively we can say like this amount of revenue is tied to the pinata play?
Yeah, so how it works is in a couple of different ways. One is you can get down to like a QR code or short URL if you want to tie it into something very specific. Mm-hmm. In some cases, we're tying it to Salesforce or HubSpot campaigns. And so there's attribution given. For a lot of B2B clients, though, they know that like the gift came today, but there was an email tomorrow and there was an event that they attended 3 days ago. So you have this like weighted average based on when they got it in the whole flow. So it's not like Sendoso is claiming 100% of that. There's ways that you can, in like an outreach or SalesLoft or Groove or Gong, engage outbound sequence, see that like step 4 is when they converted and the sequence ended in step 4, and step 4 was sending over the gift. So you can look at attribution reporting that way. Mm-hmm. And we do that all automatically, which is nice because otherwise, historically, it'd be a manual task where you're trying to log it or manually track it, and it becomes really tricky, or use a spreadsheet.
And Kris, talk to us about, so you and your co-founder were both sales guys. Mm-hmm. So talk to us, how did you all get to the point of where you needed your first sales hire? Or did you all go more for like the affiliate route? Like, how did you all really scale up your sales team? And like, how long did it take you to get that first sales hire?
Yeah. So we got about 50 customers, kind of founder led. But we really realized that if we wanted to unlock like a proven repeatable sales motion, we needed to get some strangers in there, specifically a couple SDRs and a couple AEs before we went and raised funding. Because I think as a passionate founder, you can sell Eskimo's ice. You can sell anything. It's your baby. Yeah. But can you get someone to come in and actually book a meeting as a stranger, or set up a demo and close a deal as a stranger? And so that was a big unlock. And we ended up kind of hiring 2 AEs and 2 SDRs at that point, really betting that, hey, and we didn't want to just do one, because if we didn't want that person's, failure to be singly based on them. I think we thought 2 people could allow us to understand, well, if one person failed, one person's crushing it, then it's not us, it's them. And so we did that, and it worked out tremendously well. We never looked back and started building out a repeatable, scalable motion.
I'm curious, just kind of on that same note, like when you're bringing in new sales folks into the organization, is it like a requirement that they've got to send something like their first week in the role? Like, would you guys have anything like that where it's, there's like a benchmark, and hey, when we have new SDR hires or new rep hires, like they've got to send a gift within their first 48 hours in the company or something?
Not like that, but it's more of like people are just so excited they come to us, know that this is going to be a product that they can use out the gate. And so it's more just, it's a selling point. And it's nice because a lot of times they're selling to other revenue leaders, so they can tell stories on when they were in sales, when they were sending out gifts manually, or when they didn't have a Sendoso to use. but they still love the concept. We're still able to drive results. And I think almost every salesperson you talk to probably has a story of sending out a gift at one point or another. Most of them, if they haven't used Sendoso, would be a manual story. But I think that's where then they can, storytelling, I think, is a great selling tactic.
Yeah, that sure as heck beats like just, hey, you're going to come in and you're going to hit the phones. It's like, no, you're going to come in, you're going to send some gifts to your account list, like get some traction right out of the gates. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Something else I've noticed, Kris, is you're using a different type of go-to-market strategy of like with LinkedIn influencers. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So we have kind of a multi-pronged community approach to how we go to market. So first part of our community is our advisor community. So you might see people on LinkedIn that have advisor as their title. And that's an approach to just drive awareness, as well as we leverage those advisors for introductions and their expertise. Next, we have a super sender community. And these are power users that we oftentimes put on our website and our marketing materials. They're talking us up on a lot of the communities, like the Rev Geniuses, the Pavilions, a lot of these like kind of micro sales marketing communities out there. We also have our what we call our Senfluencer community, which is probably the one that you've seen, which are folks that we incentivize to post about us or to tell others about us or refer about us. And again, the name of the game is just to drive awareness and educate everyone that we exist, because the amount spent on corporate gifting is in the hundreds of billions. It's a lot happening by every company all the time. But when you know that you can solve for it, you can automate it, you can use AI and data, you can integrate it, you can buy in bulk at better prices. We kind of have like this Costco effect where we can, you can buy cookies through us cheaper than if you went direct. And so all those reasons we need to educate the market on, and influencers is one strategy, and community is part of that.
And do you feel like, could you see like a channel that has really been activated, like LinkedIn, X, Facebook?
We're all in on LinkedIn. We find that to be the most effective channel for us in terms of social. And then we're using other channels that you'd expect, like SDR outbound, field marketing, digital advertising, intent data, all the other kind of channels.
Got it. Well, Kris, we're coming up on time here. Any, maybe actually share what's a book you read that's helped you on your journey to growing Sendoso to the company that it is today? If you had to pick one
book, let's see. I like the 0 to 1 book. I thought that's really interesting. I just read Amped Up by Frank Slootman. I thought that was a really good book. Probably the most recent one that I found. I tend to read a lot more blog posts. So I love to subscribe to a ton of blogs and read blog posts. And that is my information or my inspiration. Aside from biographies too being kind of interesting.
What's a blog that our listeners should be thinking about or checking out?
I mean, I love all the major blogs, like the Tech Crunches, the Venture Beats, the Business Insider. I specifically like this tool called Feedly, which is like a blog reader aggregator. And then you go search for topics that are interesting for you, like sales. And a lot of times I don't even know who the blog is. I just search for some specific topics and then subscribe to 20 of them.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Chase.
So just before we wrap, but do you have any suggestions on if you're writing a handmade note, is there something that you should always write in that note to get people to respond to you? Do you have a copy that you always recommend, like a framework?
Yeah. So 2 ways to go about this. One is we have an AI handwritten note tool that will write the message for you. This is helpful because we've seen tens of millions of sends and about 250 million spent. So we have so much data on what's converting better than others. So I'd say that's number one. The other thing I would say just tactically is I think a lot of people will come to an ask like, hey, call me at, 555 dash. what I typically say is use the note as an entry point saying, hey, hope you enjoy this. This is what we do. I'll follow up with you within the next day. And so the action is to listen for another action, instead of having the recipient be like, oh man, now I need to like put an email to this person or call them. It's more of an awareness so that when, Kris Rudeegraap pops up in your inbox tomorrow or on your cell phone, you are like, ooh, that person just sent me these cookies. I remember that. I was looking out for that. So I think don't go too heavy on the CTAs in the handwritten notes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Kris, where can the Sales Players fans get connected with you directly or check out Sendoso?
Sendoso.com. You can email me if you want to talk. I love chatting with people. It's Kris, KRS at Sendoso.com. You can add me on LinkedIn. Would love for folks to come to Sendoso.com, try us out. We have in a kind of a free express product that sales reps can come to. It's called Sendoso Express. And that's something that I highly encourage users to sign up for as well.
And do you also recommend brands to reach out to you guys? Have you all had any brands come to you and be like, hey, we want to launch a brand new product on a marketplace?
Yeah, if you're listening and you have an e-commerce shop or you have something cool that you're a cool brand that you're looking to get, corporate sales, corporate gifting sales on, reach out to me too. I always love unique products, unique stories. Those really are fun to feature in front of our customers.
And is that like a Shopify? Awesome. Do you all plug into Shopify?
Yeah, it's best case scenario. So if you have a Shopify store, that is makes it very turnkey for us.
All right.
The other ways we can work together, but if there's a Shopify store, we will able to ingest your Shopify products, put them into our marketplace, and then process all of the transactions on the back end.
Amazing. Awesome. Kris, this has been a power-packed episode. I so much and really appreciate the time. Know you're a busy guy. And thank you again for joining the Sales Players.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. This was fun.
Thanks, Kris. That's a wrap.